The women are thin, gorgeous, and fashionably dressed. The men? Tall, muscular, and athletic. They appear to be perfect.
You have all these size 0.5. Oh, you know, skinny is this and skinny is that, and you're nothing if you're not skinny.
And they're the stars, you know, they're the successful people. So like it makes you think, you know, they're successful, you know, they look good. I have to look that way too to, you know, be successful.
Everyone is surrounded by these images, and from a very early age, people are influenced by the messages they contain.
I have a friend, and she thinks that people that are thinner are smarter and prettier.
So what happens when you grow up thinking that what people look like on TV and in magazines is how you're supposed to look? What does that do to how you see yourself?
If you have a really distorted body image, a lot of times you can start hurting yourself, you know, in totally unhealthy ways, crazy diets and anorexia or bulimia. Or if you're a guy, you know, over-exercising your muscles, it can damage you for the rest of your life.
One group of researchers devised a test to measure how teens feel about their bodies. Ginny, Hallie, and Robin look at silhouettes drawn on paper and choose which one they think matches their own bodies.
I think I'd have a pretty accurate image of my body.
I'm sure mine is a little distorted, but I don't think it's too bad.
We'll see later how they did. How would you do? What factors have the biggest impact on teen body image?
Bang. Good. Keep moving. Every time you see a flash, give me another pose. Good. There you go. That's nice. Very nice.
She's undeniably pretty.
Good.
She's thin. She looks like the models on TV or in magazines.
Perfect. It's tough being perfect.
But even she isn't perfect enough. Not without a lot of help, says this professional photographer.
What I'm doing is I'm just bringing her stomach in just a tad, maybe I would say a half an inch. Obviously, my job is to try to make her as perfect as I possibly can.
So, is every picture you see of celebrities or models manipulated this way? The people who know say yes.
There are no perfect people. What you see in reality and what you see in perception, which is represented in the media, are two different things.
An actress rolls out of bed and she's got her hair done and her makeup's perfect, and that's not what you look like when you wake up in the morning. But she could just walk out and she's fine, and if she can do that, then we should be able to do that too, because that's how people are supposed to look.
People probably don't understand that, you know, it took her 3 hours to get ready.
A lot of times people don't even look like that, and a lot of times models, they'll change the picture around so they look different, and then people think that's how people actually look.
But even though those images are unrealistic, that doesn't change the fact that many teens are still chasing the perception of what they think they should look like.
The media just sort of drills it in that, like, this is the ideal body image, and you sort of have to feel the need to live up to that expectation.
So what can you do to have more reasonable expectations for yourself? First, see all these media messages for what they are: carefully constructed marketing tools, using beauty to get you to buy something.
Consider the source of those messages instead of just believing them to be 100% accurate.
In the business world, you know, to get ahead, then you need to be able to promote your product. How do you do that? Well, put a pretty girl next to it, and that's an easy way to get people to turn their head and to say, oh, look at that.
And if you buy the product, you think maybe you'll be more beautiful or handsome, just like the models or celebrities. In fact, sometimes the ads try to make you feel inadequate, so you will buy the product.
Studies show that up to 70% of teenagers who look at images in magazines for up to 3 minutes feel bad about themselves afterwards. And when you feel bad about yourself, you are more likely to try to do something to improve yourself, whether it's go out and try to buy these products thinking I'm going to look like that person and I'm going to be happy.
It gives you this idea from the start, this underlying feeling of hatred for yourself, because you don't cut out, you're not the same way that these successful people are, you know?
The goal of good marketing is to tell you that something about you is not okay. So the way that I can get you to buy a new product is to convince you that the one you have isn't working. And again, targeting that at teens who already have such a fragile sense of confidence and competence in who they are works.
Ashley knew she didn't look like the people in the magazines. She got teased because of it.
They'd make fun of you, like call you big nose, or make fun because there's something on there that not everybody else had.
I could tell it bothered her because the first time she came home, she was so young. I mean, I think it may have been 6th grade. I mean, it's not what you're expecting to hear, you know, your 6th grader come home and say the boys were making fun of her nose, but she did.
She had a bump on her nose, and she couldn't stand it.
I could not stay to look in the mirror one more day looking at me the way I was. I couldn't do it.
She was talking about surgery, general anesthesia, permanently changing her body. That's not something to be taken lightly.
There are risks and benefits to surgery, and you have to be prepared to handle that. I don't think all teenagers fully comprehend that this isn't just something that you come in and have done and waltz out and go to the football game that evening, that there's a recovery period, that it's a physical change that will be with you for life.
Ashley and her parents did their research, weighed the risks, and decided to go ahead with the surgery.
Nobody is perfect, and I learned that. And everybody's got their little things that they don't like about themselves.
But surgery can't change who you are as a person.
It didn't fix Ashley, it fixed her nose.
And doctors agree. Plastic surgery in the teenage years isn't usually a good idea.
Usually as people get older, they become more comfortable with how they look and their body, and a lot of these concerns will diminish on their own.
But so many teens want to change how they look now. And drastic or not, they're willing to make the effort through makeup, hairstyles, diets, and exercise, all in an attempt to look the right way for themselves and everyone around them.
Teenage boys have a big part. They see a model walk by and they're like, oh, well, she looks good. And then there's girls around, they hear that and they're like, well, I wish I could get that kind of attention from a guy. So that's where it starts. And then you wake up early in the morning and you focus a lot on your looks all day during school, touch up your makeup.
I guess the opposite is true too. You hear girls talk about, oh, that guy's got nice abs. And so you sit there and you do 1,000 crunches and nothing happens and you get frustrated and forget about it. But I mean, it's true for guys too. It's true.
17-year-old Blake knows that's true.
As far as the pictures of the guys go, I notice how they're perfect. What more can you say? They have the light shining perfectly to define every muscle on their body. They have perfectly angular chins with these chin bones that come out and just make you feel ugly. But hey, if you buy the clothes, then you won't be ugly, of course.
The images in the magazines for boys are these hard body, six-pack stomach, Adonis-type bodies that are airbrushed and unrealistic, hard to achieve. And so the boys are comparing themselves to these images and, of course, coming up short.
Some people would call Blake skinny. Others might more kindly say naturally thin. Either way, Blake decided he wanted to look like the guys in the pictures.
I tried for about probably 6 months intensely to change my body type, to change from tall and skinny runner to bulky and muscular man of steel.
He lifted weights constantly, trying to bulk up. But eventually, he realized that the struggle wasn't worth it, wasn't healthy.
Eventually, I just didn't have the time to devote to it. I had to make a choice between going and working out or going to back work and getting my homework done or getting a project turned in on time. I think that was the choice between choosing a path that's unhealthy and choosing a path where you just have to come to terms with the fact that you're not perfect.
Accepting your own body when it doesn't look the way you'd like isn't always easy, but it can be done.
I'm short and cute. It's not like she's afraid to, wear a short skirt in public. It compliments me.
Michelle seems very content with herself, though she's not exactly a size 2.
Well, I like who I am. I know I'm cute.
I think it's a matter of feeling comfortable with yourself. And I like who I am and what I do.
But she realizes that her body doesn't fit the media and advertising images.
They think that, you know, you have to be tall, skinny, you know, a certain height, a certain weight to be accepted. See, why does she have to have muscles? Why couldn't she just be kind of chunky?
She says growing up with images of perfection all around and other people's expectations was hard. She wasn't always so at ease with herself. The turning point for her came in middle school.
You know, in health class you always learn how you gotta like yourself for who you are before anybody can like you. And they kind of hit me. The way I'm built is part of me. And I was just like, you know, that's the way I'm gonna be, and I have to learn to accept myself for me.
She says accepting herself wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. But as she matured, she was able to think for herself and see through the images and the fantasy of looking perfect.
It wasn't like I woke up one night and realized, well, I'm Michelle, and this is just the way things are gonna be. It was little by little I started becoming more comfortable with who I was.
Other teens have learned the same lesson.
You have to recognize the point where you've done what you can do, and you need to be happy with yourself. If you're striving for something else, for somebody else, that's when I think it becomes unhealthy.
I think there's a point where you have to say, okay, I'm not Mr. Universe, but I am myself. I'm Trey. You know, you have to accept yourself to an extent.
I guess I'm a lot more confident now. It took me like years to be able to be like completely satisfied with myself and accept, yeah, I'm not perfect, so you know, people are just gonna have to accept me for that, you know.
Society changes with the wind. One day this is in, the next day that's in. I'm personally like, you need to have self-confidence in yourself. I have extra fluff, but I still think I'm very beautiful.
Wading through all the media messages you're surrounded by can be rough. No one can be totally unaffected by them. Even these girls who thought they had a pretty good idea of their own body image are about to find out that they're wrong. Jenny, Hallie, and Robin had to choose which pictures match their own bodies. Their guesses are circled in blue.
Okay, I'm debating between 3 and 4.
The pink circle indicates the true match. Each girl thought she looked heavier than she really is.
I think everyone's a little bit inclined to be harder on themselves than in real life, so it's no surprise.
According to an extensive research study, on average, girls thought they were 11 pounds too heavy, when they were really only 3 pounds over their target weight. In similar studies, researchers found that many teenage boys think they look thinner than they really are. The girls wanted to be thinner. The boys wanted to be more muscular. Why?
Everybody's always harder on themselves than they should be. But it's interesting to see, like from this, exactly how much harder you are on yourself than you should be.
Many experts say the media influence colors our judgment. The ads have a clear message.
This is who you should be, and this is what you should look like. This would be the ideal, and the ideal isn't even real.
It's the perception, it's how people perceive things, and we tend to perceive things by the lasted images that we see.
And you just have to realize eventually that you have to be comfortable in who you are. You can't like always try to live up to like goals that other people set.
Because having the perfect body that the magazines, TV, and movies show you isn't realistic, and it isn't what will make you happy.
It's not going to give you personality, it's not going to give you long-term success, it's not going to give you intelligence, it's not going to give you any of the attributes that really matter. And if you want people to like you, I think you have to work on a level that's much higher than the superficial one.
So the next time you flip through a magazine or watch those commercials, remember the difference between what you see and what's real.
And I look at myself and I look at the women in my family. There's a good chance that there is no way I will ever look like anybody that I'll see in one of the magazines or on TV or whatever. And I know that spending my entire life trying to look like someone like that will not make me happy.
How do media images of perfect bodies affect your own body image?